Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on Arrow. And I'm very excited to do this video because this is my first Arrow video in so long, and I've really missed doing Arrow videos. And for today's video, I'll be theorizing about Arrow Season 9. Can it happen? I'll also be giving some storyline ideas we could be having if Arrow Season 9 does become a thing. And if Arrow Season 9 does become a thing, how could Oliver Queen return from the dead? So as we know, Arrow was the first Arrowverse show to wrap up after 8 seasons, and this was where we had Oliver Queen pretty much working with the Monitor to prepare for the upcoming crisis, whilst he tries to fight his inevitable destiny, which is to die. So throughout Arrow Season 8, Oliver was given these different tasks to complete in each episode, and within these different episodes we not only had them paying homage to previous seasons of the show, but also we had some pretty cool returning characters for Oliver to make his last encounters with. And for me, it was just a love letter to the fans. I absolutely loved Arrow Season 8. But at the end of the day, Oliver's destiny was inevitable. He had to die, and that was exactly what ended up happening after he was given the opportunity to become someone else, something else. Something even bigger than he's ever been before, the Spectre, where obviously he died trying to rebirth the multiverse. He rebirthed the multiverse, but that ended up leading to his death. But, after Arrow Season 8 wrapped up, there hasn't been much talk about Arrow until very recently, where there has been some ongoing talk on Arrow Season 9. And this is coming from the fans. Fans have been asking for Arrow Season 9. We've had some various different content creators making concept trailers for Arrow Season 9, and that's been getting some buzz as well. But after Arrow ended, it seemed like Stephen Amell was really done with the character of Oliver Queen. He's signed on for a new show, Heels, from what I've been seeing, he's been doing great on that. And the show has become really popular as well. I think it's getting a season 2 if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. But when he signed on for Heels, it seemed like Stephen Amell was done with the character. But as time went by, whenever he posted about these stuff on social media, he kept on responding with, "Never say never." But this obviously hinted that he was open to return, but it wouldn't be anytime soon. But as time passed by, Stephen Amell began to show more interest with the show and the character of Oliver Queen. He's got the tattoo of Arrow as well. He's been making a lot of social media posts about it. And also in podcasts, he has sparked the possibility of him returning for Arrow Season 9 if he has been approached. Now, obviously, I have done a video where Stephen Amell talked about a potential return to the character of Oliver Queen for an Arrow Season 9 during Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You podcast, but that podcast does link with the topic of this video as well. Plus, when I first covered that topic, I linked it with Steven potentially returning as the Red Death for The Flash, or just another version of Oliver Queen from the multiverse, where he has potentially been approached for the Armageddon crossover, for example. Whereas for this video, it will mainly focus on the original Oliver Queen. I will play a segment of the podcast where Stephen Amell does talk about a potential return if he has been approached for an Arrow Season 9.
Do you have any plans to return back to the superhero genre? Have you been approached? Can you see yourself returning to a reunion of Arrow or doing something in the superhero world? Or have you not been approached by any of that? Or would you consider it if you were?
If I had been approached, I wouldn't say, but I have not. I think.
Wait, what?
No. Okay.
No, it made sense. I know what you're saying.
I was thinking about this question as I drove here, and if the opportunity ever came up to do 6 to 8 episodes of Arrow as like a limited series on Netflix or HBO Max or something like that, or on the CW, as the case may be, I think that'd be amazing.
So when I heard this for the first time, I freaked out. This was just music to my ears, because for those who don't know, Oliver Queen is my favorite Arrowverse character of all time. Not even that, but Green Arrow is my favorite superhero of all time due to Stephen Amell's performance on Arrow. Arrow is my absolute favorite show of all time, so I would want nothing more than Stephen Amell to return for an Arrow Season 9. Obviously, Stephen Amell did say that he wouldn't have minded whether it was a Netflix show or whether it dropped on HBO Max or the CW. And bear in mind, guys, I did not show the whole clip of Stephen Amell talking to a potential return for Arrow because I want to give some buzz to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast itself, so it would be unfair if I played the whole entire clip where Steven talked about it. But if you guys actually watch the continuation of it, which will be linked in the description down below, he did say that if it was 10 or 8 episodes or something along those lines, he wouldn't really put a limit on it. So that basically means that he wouldn't just make it a limited series. If it was 8 to 10 episodes, he would be willing to do more, which is really cool. But for this video, if there was a case of an Arrow Season 9, how would this play out? But before I go over anything, however, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. So I do have a couple of different theories in regards to how this could play out if Arrow Season 9 was to become a thing. So one storyline they could go for is that there's a huge threat to the multiverse, kinda like a Loki situation, but instead, this threat is trying to conquer the universe. This threat could potentially be an alternate version of Oliver Queen, aka the Spectre. However, he is evil, and his motivation could be like the evil Doctor Strange episode from What If, where Oliver continuously tries to fix an event that occurred, but it's not working. Whatever he tries, after continuous different failures, he just goes crazy. And because of this, he goes evil, and this causes a huge disturbance in the multiverse. So maybe he's trying to prevent his death, but due to it being inevitable, he will fail every single time. And the original Oliver Queen as the Spectre will have to go around the multiverse and stop whatever is disturbing it. But maybe when Oliver enters those different worlds and tries to fix what's been altered, he is restricted from his abilities. Otherwise, the main threat, that being the evil Oliver Queen, will be able to sense him and then go after him and destroy him. This would kind of be like the concept for Arrow Season 8 Episode 1, where the Monitor couldn't stay somewhere for too long, otherwise the Anti-Monitor would have been able to feel his presence. So, because of Oliver being restricted from his powers, he's forced to become the Green Arrow once again, and whatever these threats in the multiverse are, each episode would be dedicated into preventing a different cataclysmic event, and in these episodes we could see some familiar faces and returning characters. But then he would begin to put the pieces together, and then he would find out that an evil version of himself is behind this, where we could then have the two versions of the Spectre battling it out. And maybe we could have it so Oliver's unable to stay in a specific Earth for too long, otherwise it would cause a massive imbalance in the universe and could mess up the things for the worst. This is so we could prevent the idea of Oliver from going back to Earth Prime to see his friends and family. Bear in mind, if this was to actually happen, it would be a CW and a HBO Max show, because that's what happens when we get the new DC shows. For example, Superman and Lois, that's a CW and a HBO Max show. So if this was to happen, it would have a bigger budget because of the HBO Max stuff, so it could work. Now, another way Arrow Season 9 could play out is by taking the concept of Titans Season 3 Episode 9. So for those who don't watch Titans, it was dedicated to Donna Troy, Hank, and Tim Drake finding a way to escape the afterlife. And the three of them work together in order to do that. And eventually, they find a way to escape. However, Hank doesn't manage to escape, but Tim and Donna do. And then they end up in the real world once again. So maybe Oliver Queen would sense a disturbance in the multiverse, kinda like my first idea. And someone really needs to deal with what's going on, otherwise there would be huge ramifications. So this would result to Oliver trying to escape the afterlife and end up on Earth. This would strip him away from his Spectre powers because he would be back from the dead, so Spectre will no longer become a thing. He would just be back to Oliver Queen. So over here, Oliver would have to put on the hood, grab the bow and arrow, and become someone else, something else once again. He will have to become the Emerald Archer, the Green Arrow, and deal with these multiverse problems himself. Once again, still having this main threat causing these issues. This time, it will not be an evil version of himself, but it could just be anyone else. And by the end of the season, we could have this really emotional reunion where we have him reuniting with Diggle, and he could reunite with a present day Felicity as well as baby Mia and William, where he could actually retire and live the rest of his days with them. But maybe a scene which would actually break us is us having Oliver reuniting with Barry. That would kill. This one is probably my favorite idea out of the bunch that I have. Now lastly, this one's the least likeliest one, but Arrow Season 9 could be a limited series which takes place between 2 seasons of Arrow. So it could be us going more in depth and dealing with what's happening between Arrow Season 5 and Arrow Season 6. It could potentially be between Arrow Season 2 and Arrow Season 3, because there is a whole 6 to 8 months which we haven't seen that's taking place in between those seasons. So I think we could have a fun storyline which could fill up 8 to 10 episodes with that. I think that could work really well. But this drops the likeliness of us seeing Oliver interact with characters such as Barry Allen and the other Arrowverse characters. And that is something I would really want to see if we did ever get a chance of us having an Arrow Season 9, where he has the chance to interact with Sarah Lance once again, where he has the chance to interact with Barry once again. That is something I would have loved to see. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to tell me in the comment section down below which of these ideas are your favorite, and be sure to tell me in the comment section down below if you guys think that there is a possibility where we could actually have an Arrow Season 9. I'm interested to see all of your thoughts towards all of this as well. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.